had no idea that there are British food and drinks that are protected under British law. I read about this the other day and I was like, we need to talk about this. If you're new here, hi, how's it going? My name is Alanna and I'm a Canadian, but I live here in the UK. And if you're not new here, hey, how's the weather? It's a bit humid today, isn't it? So the UK has 3 schemes that it uses to protect the integrity of British food and drink. To stop copycats making like knockoff British foods, to make sure that the name on the label actually means something. And I found this so fascinating. I went out and I bought all the food. Well, not all of it. There's 94 products. I'm getting ahead of myself. As a foreigner living in the UK, I love learning about British culture and I love British food. So this is right up my alley. I'm just excited to talk about it. I've written it down because I'm just a girl and my memory is terrible, but I can read. Usually. So currently there are 3 schemes under British law to protect British food and drink, okay? The most severe, the most strict is PDO. So this is Protected Designation of Origin. So every step in making this food or drink has to happen in a very specific area. For number 2, we have PGI, which is Protected Geographical Indication. So the product's reputation comes from the area, but only one key stage has to be local when making that product. And finally, we have TSG, Traditional Specialty Guaranteed. So this protects a recipe or a method even if it is made outside of a particular region. So the idea is, if you were to buy something like Scotch whiskey, which is one of the protected items, Scotch whiskey has to be made in Scotland and it has to follow certain regulations to be allowed to be called Scotch whiskey. So some type of alcohol that's made in Cornwall and it's made to look and taste like Scotch whiskey cannot call itself Scotch whiskey. Does that make sense? Now the UK and its crown dependencies have 94 protected food and drink products, of which I have bought a bunch of them and I want to talk about them and I want to eat them. But 94 is actually relatively low, if you can believe it. So Portugal has 195. France, I know the UK hates to lose out to France. France has 758, but guess what? Italy, love Italy. I've loved all my holidays to Italy. Italy has 882 protected food and drink products. But don't be too depressed because Ireland only has 11, RIP, and the United States, 0. So I bought a bunch of the protected British food items. You might be surprised what's on the list. What do I want to start with first? I know what I want to start with. Can you guess? Can you read that far? So first on the list, one that I always pronounce wrong. Herefordshire cider? Herefordshire. I always say Herefordshire because that's how it's spelled, but everybody always gets upset at me. Herefordshire cider is protected under British law. It is the PGI scheme, so that is the Protected Geographical Indication. And this has been protected almost as long as I've been alive. 1996. To demonstrate this one, I bought the Henny's Dry Cider from Valley. What did I just say? So to be able to call yourself Herefordshire cider, I'm so sorry. I've already lost it. In order to call yourself a Hertfordshire cider, it has to be made from local bittersweet cider apples. It even gives you a list of like the certain apples you have to use. The ABV must land between 4% and 8.5%. And just to embarrass myself more with pronunciation issues, Gloucestershire, Worcestershire, and traditional Welsh cider and perry all share like basically identical rules. So if you're gonna call yourself a Gloucestershire cider or a Gloucestershire perry, you are protected as long as you follow the rules. Anyways, cheers, good morning. One thing that I thought was pretty cool is I've had this cider before. I think it's a lovely dry cider, beautiful color, you know, just a wonderful cider. Something that I've never noticed before until I learned about this is on the back, they have a little graphic, geographical Sorry, I can't read. Remember I said I can read? Not today. Geographic origin UK protected Hertfordshire cider. So this is the scheme that protects this particular cider. They've got the little graphic to show you that it's done in the traditional legal way to call itself this type of cider. I've never noticed that before. And maybe this is super obvious to most people, but honestly, I had no idea. You know what would go really well with a nice dry cider? Our next one on the list. Can you guess? I don't know why you... If you could guess, that'd be really weird. It's this. This is a British Melton Mowbray pork pie. And just like the cider, although very much more obvious on this one, you have the little logo, Geographic Origin UK protected. So a Melton Mowbray pork pie is another item that is protected under this British scheme. They only got it in 2008, which I kind of found surprising. So some of the regulations for this, hold on, I want some. This whole video is a thinly veiled attempt at making a video just because I want to eat the stuff. Have a look at that, beautiful, eh? So some of the rules and regulations about being able to call yourself a Melton Mowbray pork pie is it needs to be bow-walled pastry in a gray pork filling, which kind of sounds disgusting, but it's important. It also must be uncured, so it roasts to the signature color that you would expect of a Melton Mowbray pie. It needs at least 30% meat in a natural pork jelly layer that sets between the meat and the crust. Also, a lot of rules on this one. It needs to be baked freestanding, so it has no tin, in a 2,800 square kilometer zone around the Leicestershire town. That's another one. Why does all the words in this video hate me? So a lot of rules on this one, and I think rightfully so. One of the reasons that I love the UK, I love the British food, is there is so much history here, and I feel like the UK really tries to protect it, and I think that's really special. Especially someone coming from Canada, people ask me like, what's a historical Canadian food? The only thing people can think of is poutine, which is French fries, cheese curds, and gravy, and I don't even like it. And that's kind of it. People just, we don't have that historical food like you do here. I feel like I'm doing an unboxing. Cheers. I'm just gonna go for it. Today's gonna be a great day. But you can see, maybe better on this one. I tried to take a little sliver. You can see that gray kind of color, but you can also see the jelly layer in between. All legal requirements. Next up is another meat product. Maybe it's in the title of this video, maybe not. Ta-da! Since 2011, traditional Cumberland sausages have been protected. It is also the PGI, the same as the last ones that we've done. So it's more about the geographical location that the product is made in, but also some other rules that they have to follow. Hold that thought. So some of the rules for a traditional Cumberland sausage: it needs to be a spiral. It cannot be linked. It needs to be 80% pork, 20 millimeter plus diameter, natural hog casings, flavored with black pepper, nutmeg, and cayenne. It must be minced coarse, equal to or less than 4.5 millimeters, and made within Cumbria's county border. So what about these? Looks like it follows it, right? Cumberland sausage, it's in a coil. This is not real. It's real, but it's not protected because this does not follow the rules. You're not gonna find the special logo on this like we do with the cider because this is missing a very important word: traditional. Traditional Cumberland sausage is what's protected, and it absolutely has to have the word traditional in it. So what does that mean when you buy something like this? Or maybe you like Cumberland sausage that are just like the little sausages, right? Does that mean it's not real Cumberland sausage? Like what are we doing here? Let me stop waving that around for a second. So this is from my understanding. I'm not a professional. I'm just a woman who loves to eat British food. And I can read off of my computer the research that I did. So what does that mean when you buy Cumberland sausage? So this pack, or just regular Cumberland sausages, anything that doesn't say traditional is still sausage, but it is not protected. So it's not legally required to follow certain regulations. That means they can be made anywhere. They can be linked instead of coiled. They can use a lower meat percentage, as long as it isn't marketed as a traditional Cumberland sausage. So there are sausages, it's just they're not held to a certain standard. Only producers that tick all of the boxes for a traditional Cumberland sausage can claim to be that. And they can display the little badge that says they're protected. So how do you spot the real deal when you're out and about? Maybe you're at Tesco, maybe you're at, I don't know, where do you guys get your groceries? Morrison's, M&S, maybe. How bougie. There's a couple of ways that you can spot the real deal. Number one, it needs to say traditional Cumberland sausage. It has to say traditional. That's typically the word that's left out. Like when I saw these at Tesco, I was like, oh, how fun. I can get it for my video. And then I realized this is not the real deal. It doesn't have the little logo. It doesn't have traditional in the title. If you're looking for a true PGI Cumberland sausage, it also needs to be a coil. We've talked about that. Never in pairs and never short links. And also look for the logo. That's gonna be an easy one. If it doesn't have the little logo, that's a giveaway. Now, what happens if a company tries to sell traditional Cumberland sausage without following the rules? That's a good question, right? That's what the question that I had. So there's a couple of steps that happen. First up, you get a compliance notice. Basically says you need to reformulate to meet the requirements, or you need to relabel your package. You need to relabel your sausages, or you gotta pull them all off the shelves. If you ignore that, you are looking at a civil fine up to £40,000 per offense, and a seizure of your stock. They can come and raid your warehouse and take all your sausages away. If you ignore all of that, the case can be escalated. You can be charged. You can go to prison. There's criminal prosecution under the Food Safety Act, Fraud Act, and or Consumer Protection Regulations. I thought that was so fascinating. Maybe that's just me. I hope not. If you've lasted this long in the video, I hope you find that interesting. Next up, we have another personal favorite, something that I love. If you're a fan of the channel, first off, thank you so much. Can you guess what it is? We've already had a meat product. We've already had a cider product. Can you guess what the next thing is? It is a cheese product. This, what are we? Number 1, 2, 3. Number 4 is Wensleydale cheese. Specifically, Yorkshire Wensleydale. It has to say Yorkshire Wensleydale. Humble opinion, I know this isn't part of the video, but I think Britain has the best cheese in the world. Honestly, I know France, a lot of great cheeses, but if I could only have one location, the UK, much more variety, wonderful amount of cheese. The Yorkshire Wensleydale is a protected cheese, and I love it. So milk for this type of cheese has to come from cows grazing the limestone-rich pastures of Wensleydale. The geology, reading is tough. Hold on. The geology plus the creamery's unique 18-strain starter culture gives this cheese its special honey finish. We are gonna eat it, obviously. It would be rude not to. But before I rip up the packaging, can you see the little logo? Just like all the other ones so when you see that, you know this is the real deal. This is real Yorkshire Wensleydale. It is actually from Yorkshire. It's from Wensleydale. It's done in the way that it is required to do so. I don't know if that last sentence was real. I was also reading that Wensleydale, or like this type of cheese, dates back over 800 years ago to monks. Did you guys know that? And I also read that Wensleydale was like not very popular in like the last 100 years. Like it really died out. But because of Wallace and Gromit, it became popular again. Isn't that crazy? Cheers. You know what? I don't know if I've ever had Wensleydale without stuff in it. Because normally when you get Wensleydale, there's like cranberry or like apricot or something in it. I don't know if I've ever just had a plain Wensleydale. Every time I say Wensleydale, I say it slightly differently. I'll be honest, this is not my first go-to British cheese. It's creamy, but I also find it kind of dry, if that makes sense. It's still tasty. I'm glad it's protected, but give me a British cheddar. A red Leicester? Hell yeah. A couple of other things that I didn't buy that are protected. Cornish clotted cream. Now this is a PDO, which is the most severe designation, the protected designation of origin. So every step in making Cornish clotted cream has to be followed in order to get that title. And that's actually been protected since 1998, which is pretty fun. Another PDO that's protected that I didn't get, Jersey Royal Potatoes. This was from 96, so it is a long-standing one. It is a single early variety grown only on Jersey. And one thing that I didn't know that I thought was pretty cool is farmers hand plant the seeds and they fertilize it with fresh seaweed. The more you know. I hope that's right. I read it on the internet. One that I did buy, we've got another drink that I wanted to include because it's very near and dear to me in Kent. I live in Kent. How's it going? Can you guess what Kentish item has been protected? I hope so. Next up we have this. So another PGI. So all of these so far have been PGI, right? Geographical protection is Kentish Ale and Kentish Strong Ale. Those have to be brewed in a very particular way to be able to get that title. So these are brewed exclusively by Shepherd Neame, which is pretty fun. Did you know they're Britain's oldest brewery? Probably. Do you know what year though? I always forget. 1698, using water from its 20-foot artisanal well. So to be able to be protected, to be able to be classified as Kentish Ale or Kentish Strong Ale, that's fun to say. Kentish Ale needs to be between 3.5 and 4.9% ABV, and Strong Ale is 5 to 7. So I went with the Bishop's Finger. This is 5.2. Kentish Strong Ale right there on the label. Last time I had this, I thought it was gross, but it's been a while, so you never know. Fun fact, years ago, I went on the Shepherd Neame Brewery tour. They do tours, and I went on it, and you get to see like how they brew stuff. But what I thought was very interesting, so they are known for their 200-foot well, where they get like groundwater, or whatever you want to call it, water from the earth. They don't pay for water. That came up on the tour. I guess it was ruled legally that the monks on that site had been using that water for hundreds and hundreds of years, that Shepherd Neame on that site at that brewery do not pay for the water that they use. Cheers! Yeah, you know what? My opinion on that has not changed. Pork pie, anybody? That is grim. Next up on our list, we have another PGI, geographical protected. Wow, those pork pies are real good, eh? It's been a while since I've had a really nice pork pie. Anyway, what was I saying? The next one is geographic, same as all the ones that we bought so far. This is from 2011. It is a food item. You're not gonna guess. I don't know why I'm suggesting you guess. Cornish pasties. We're in for a real treat today. We got the 2 Cornish pasties from M&S, crafted in Cornwall. If you flip it on the back, it's got the logo, geographic origin UK protected. There were schemes, obviously, as you can imagine, that involved the EU, but since the UK has left, you know, Brexit and everything, they've had to sort of rejig their protected status and whatever. But this still has British protection in order to be called yourself a Cornish pasty. You know what's fun? When I see the word pasty, I want to say pasty, which is not true. Well, it's true, but it's not right. Hold that thought, my battery's gonna die. Hold that thought. Where's the battery? Hello, welcome back. I forget what I was talking about, but I do have these. And a couple of bottle caps. I'm sure everybody in the UK already knows this story, but I didn't know it. The reason that they're shaped in the D shape with like the crimped, like, what would you call that? The crust, the crimped crust. It was so miners could hold the crust with arsenic dusted fingers, eat the rest, and then bin the handle. That's incredible. I'm sure everybody already knew that. So in terms of regulations to be able to call yourself a Cornish pasty, you need to have raw diced beef that is equal to or less than 12.5%. Write that down. Potato, sweet, and onion, the veg must reach 25%. Everything baked together inside the pastry. Assembly and baking must happen within Cornwall. However, you're allowed to ship it half-baked and finish it elsewhere. Did you get all that? Look at that, beautiful. I personally love them toasted, like in the oven. So I think that's what's my lunch today. After I finish my pork pie, have a little bit more cheese. We'll do the Cumberlands, the fake Cumberlands for dinner tonight. Have this for lunch. What a treat. Truly a wonderful day. Our next one I found really interesting because a Cornish pasty, I feel like is so historically synonymous, famous with British food. This was only granted in 2011. Our next one is also 2011, and that is English wine, which I feel like is a much more recent thing, but also not really. So English wine is a PDO. This is the most severe, the most, what's the word that I want? Strict regulations. So grapes have to grow between 220 meters elevation anywhere in England. Still wines need to be equal to or less than 9% ABV. Fizz must follow the traditional method and spend equal to or less than 9 months on lees. I don't know what that is, but wine people, let me know. Sounds serious. I actually have a video taste testing English wine. It's something that's very new to me because it's not, unfortunately, it's not that easily accessible. It's really hard to find loads of English wine varieties at the supermarket, what I've found so far. So the next time you're in the supermarket, maybe you're doing your weekly shop, have a look at the back of your food products to see if anything has that special little logo that it is protected in the UK. I think it is such a fun, interesting, important scheme. I loved researching this, so guess what? I love tasting it. And I think it's a wonderful way to really ensure that the foods and drinks that you are buying, you're buying that Yorkshire Wensleydale, it is real Wensleydale. No imposters allowed. As promised, definitely check out this video. I taste tested English wine for the first time. Had an absolute ball. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, bye!